Prime Minister, Kaysa Shields from Sky News. How do you expect the plan you've unveiled today to impact the economy at a time when inflation is approaching the RBA's target range?
I see it as positive. It's about encouraging private sector investment. It's about making sure as well that all of the measures that we've put in place, including all of our cost of living measures, have been aimed at areas that would not contribute to inflation. So, for example, the tax cut changes I've spoken about today, that will be the major support that we provide to Middle Australia in the budget in a month's time. That's worth $107 billion over the forward estimates. But because it will increase workforce participation, that was seen as countering the higher marginal propensity to spend that people on lower incomes have compared with higher incomes people who would take a higher tax cut and just save it. So we examined all of that through, and I assure you that when all of the measures that we're considering in the budget come forward through our Expenditure Review Committee process, then Jim Chalmers and Katie Gallagher, and Katie as the Finance Minister wields a big stick, making sure that what we're doing is fiscally responsible. We turned a $78 billion deficit that we inherited into a $22 billion surplus. That's something that I remind people, the former government was elected in 2013 promising a surplus the first year and every year thereafter, and didn't achieve it once.
Tess Bennett from the Australian Financial Review. You've said this afternoon that you want to make more things here. So why didn't the government, state or federal, provide Tritium with a lifeline? They've closed their Brisbane factory and moved manufacturing to the US.
Well, that's an example of a lost opportunity which is there. Tritium were producing the fastest EV charging stations in the world and were exporting them. They made a commercial decision based upon the settings that were there, based upon, in part, the incentives that are there in the Inflation Reduction Act. That's an example of SunDrive. If there weren't opportunities for SunDrive to stay in Australia, then they too would have gone offshore. We need to acknowledge that this is a reality, that we are in a global competition for capital, a global competition where there are incentives for companies to be based in the United States, in different economies as well, through the different moves which are there, which is the context of why we are ensuring through what will be one of the centrepieces of the budget in May. We have put in place a range of mechanisms up to now. We've been in government less than 2 years. And already, if you look at some of the turnaround that we have had in industry development, the positive initiatives, including electrolysers in Gladstone last Monday, as in 3 days ago. I'll be back in Queensland next week for another announcement consistent with the Future Made in Australia. We've been to Liddell, I've been to Whyalla looking at green steel and what's happening there in the Upper Spencer Gulf. There are a range of really positive things happening. The defence industry initiatives that are happening around AUKUS as well. We are working, we've got Queensland, Brisbane Airport, a sponsor today. We're looking at sustainable fuels as one of the big things that we need to work on, and Catherine King's working on those initiatives. It's not just one thing we're looking at. We're looking at a comprehensive plan for how we ensure that we make more things here. Now, we won't have every company based here. Companies will make decisions from time to time. They're private sector operators. But what we can do is make sure that we're competitive, make sure that we have mechanisms here that encourage that value add and encourage that activity to stay here.